matches, shall we? Fulham Wolves starts it off. Burnley, Everton, Palace, Cardiff, Leicester, Manchester City, Liverpool, Newcastle United take on Huddersfield. It's Tottenham, Bournemouth, Brighton play host to Arsenal, Watford, Chelsea. Then on Thursday, Southampton, West Ham. Which game has got you most excited, Craig Burnley?
Not many. I would say historically, looking back, and I don't think it's going to be the case, but the Liverpool-Newcastle game has thrown up.
Oh, the old 4-3s. It's a bit different now, though.
It is a bit different now, but just to see if Liverpool can keep... Because they've got Arsenal and City after that.
Right.
So they need to keep the momentum going, which I think they will with the home win against the former manager in Rafa Benitez.
Craig, you can just feel how excited
Storylines galore.
Yeah. Subplots galore.
Leicester, Manchester City.
Yep.
Now, Manchester City has to go to Leicester, and after losing to Crystal Palace at home, then you expect, oh, well, here comes Manchester City. They're going to put together a performance. Or is it a performance that is filled with doubt and pressure and the fact that, wait a minute, are we losing touch here? Are we losing control? Are we not the team that we thought we would be? I expect Manchester City to have a great performance away from home.
Julien, what are you excited about? Not in life, but on Boxing Day.
I'm very excited about Tottenham Bournemouth at Wembley because I think it would be a very open game, and we saw the performance that Spurs put out at Everton in the last match there, and I think they will score a lot of goals against Bournemouth, who will attack because that's what they do and that's the only thing they can do as well. And I love Dave Brooks, and I love Callum Wilson, and I love Eddie Howe, and I think it's going to be a great game.
What a lot of love. What about you, Gab? Watford, Chelsea?
Well, I'm excited by David Brooks at Wembley as well, but I'll say something different. So I'll go with Watford and Chelsea. I want to see how Chelsea bounce back, obviously, but also just how good are Watford. They're up to 7th in the table. That midfield, when everybody's fit, Doucouré and Capoue, I think is about as good as all but the top 2 or 3 midfields in the Premier League. They're solid at the back. I wonder, can they chase Manchester United into that 6th spot?
Watford with the best midfield in the league is what I heard. ESPN FC back on your screens tomorrow. I'm off tomorrow, though. Are you working tomorrow?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm off. I'm off. Yes, I'm off.
Craig will be here alone.
Sorry, I was getting confused.
Look back at the Boxing Day games. Full programme of Serie A matches. Just a reminder how things stand going into those games on the 26th. Of course, the big one, Napoli against Inter. 8 points separate second and third going into this tie. Let's just take a look at all the games. There they are. It's the late one on Wednesday. Gab, pressure very much on Inter.
Yeah, pressure doubling down now because Inter made a huge call in deciding to basically suspend Raja Nainggolan. Of course, the record signing last summer. He's been suspended for disciplinary reasons. Nainggolan, you always took the good with the bad with him. We know he likes to party, he likes to drink, he likes to smoke, he likes to curse. But, on the pitch, he was always a dervish. He gives you 100%. This time, though, this season, he's been injured quite a bit. He's missed games. He was late for training. Inter, not coincidentally, for the past couple of weeks or so, they've had a new boss, Beppe Marotta, formerly the chief executive at Juventus. And he apparently said no more. Raja Nainggolan now basically suspended indefinitely from the team. There's suggestions they may try to sell him in January. Wow. Although, of course, that's not exactly the easiest way to go and sell somebody when he's the wrong side of 30. He's on a huge salary, and you've just suspended him for poor discipline.
This is Spalletti's boy as well, Gab, isn't it? He very much was instrumental in bringing him to Inter in the first place.
I see, Dan, that you're ready to read the tea leaves here. That's right. Spalletti all summer banged on about the fact that, Inter, they needed leaders, they needed warriors. He'd worked with him at Roma. He'd done a good job with him at Roma. To get him, because of Inter's rather parlous state with financial fair play, Inter had to give up Nicolo Zaniolo, who was pretty much their crown jewel, or one of their crown jewels in their youth academy. Zaniolo's now, he's moved to Rome. He's already been capped by Italy. He's a regular at Roma now, still 19 or 20 years old. And they had to part with him and something like 25 million, or even 30 million, in US dollars in cash. And for that, they got this guy, who now they've banned indefinitely.
Meanwhile, Gab, pressure on Gattuso. Suggestions in the Italian media. He's got 2 games to prove himself, or Arsene Wenger's coming in.
Yeah, this Wenger thing, my goodness. We need to ask Jules if this is something that like people in France are obsessed with, because it's the same people in France reporting this over and over again. Gattuso may have a couple weeks to save his job. I would be extremely surprised if it was Arsene Wenger to come in, because he really doesn't fit the profile of what Milan's owners are trying to do. And more importantly, should he come over, he would meet the chief executive, who was his old boss at Arsenal, and the person who eventually showed him the door, Ivan Gazidis. And I think everybody knows he didn't exactly part on good terms. So this Wenger thing, to me, seems like some kind of weird French obsession.
Jules, why are you obsessed with Arsene Wenger and AC Milan?
No, we're not. I don't know where that's coming from. I agree with Gab. I don't think he will end up at AC Milan at all. So it's not a French obsession at all.
Well, they can go there, and then even Gazidis can peddle the same line out again about matching every club in the world in 2 years' time financially.
Yeah, how'd that work out? Let's talk about Mario Balotelli. He's had a terrible season. Patrick Vieira, of course, now in charge of Nice. Some interesting stuff from Vieira. Jules saying basically that he has to take a breath before dealing with Balotelli, because if he had played with him, he'd have pin him up against the dressing room wall.
Yeah, Patrick Vieira not happy at all. I mean, we had a feeling at the start of the season that after two very, very good seasons in Nice for Balotelli under Lucien Favre, 15 goals in the league the first season, 18 goals in the league last season in 28 games only. An amazing ratio. That the third season could be far more difficult and completely different. And we were right. And I think Patrick Vieira had that feeling as well. Balotelli didn't want to be there, but no one wanted to sign him in the summer, so he had to stay. And he came back from his holidays overweight, and from them it just went basically downwards. You said, yeah, downwards.
Yeah,
because
downhill.
Nothing was working. Yeah, downhill. Thank you, Greg. Downhill. Nothing was working. He hasn't scored in the league in 10 games so far. Just one assist. He had one very good game against Lille, but that's not enough. And Vieira is getting really frustrated by his lack of discipline, the lack of efficiency that he's showing on the pitch. And the attitude of like, I don't care, I don't want to listen to you. I mean, he walks halfway through one of Vieira's team meetings recently, a few weeks ago, which drove Vieira mad. And they can't work together. So the best way, I think, for both Vieira and Balotelli is that Balotelli goes in January. But who would want to sign him?
Monaco.
Oh my goodness.
Imagine.
Now, you want to keep going downhill, you go to Monaco.
Yeah, that's it.
They lost to the team that are bottom of the league.
Yeah, Thierry Henry's lovely management.
Is having an absolute nightmare. But look, this is typical Balotelli, isn't it?
Yeah.
He comes, he gets a spark again, and you see that talent, and he gets a coach who he kind of understands, and he starts scoring goals, and then he just loses that impetus and momentum and focus, and it's back to the old Balotelli.
I can only imagine in a locker room, that must be the worst scenario, isn't it? Having that sort of player around.
Yes, specifically a guy like Balotelli, who you recognize, because as a teammate you would recognize right away, man, this guy's got some talent.
Yeah.
This guy can do things that nobody else in this locker room can do, and if only we could use that out on the field, that would be helpful to all of us. So players and coaches and front office, everybody has been willing to live with whatever Balotelli is because he can give you that. But at some point, you got to give more weight to the fact that he's got within him a mix, a volatile mix that just add water and then it becomes a mess. And it's going to happen now. It happened 5 years ago. It happened 10 years ago. And it will happen again and again in his life because this is who he is. He's got a gene in him that just doesn't like things to work out well. He just wants things to, at some point, be chaotic. And in the chaos, he feels most comfortable. Why are you looking at Craig? No, why are you looking at Craig?
We can make some lovely chaos here. You want?
By the way, it's already been described as one of the best Serie Awesome podcasts ever. The next one, Gab, is off. So be sure to have a little listen. Alan might get to string more than 2 sentences together without being interrupted. Him and Mina are taking it alone. Extra time available throughout the festive period over on the website where we answer your questions. Of course, it is the season for giving, so let's play Santa, shall we? Transfer wishes, one player, one club. Jules, you start.
Please, Santa, can you send N'Golo Kante to PSG? Whatever it takes, Santa. Please make it happen.
Gab?
I'll go with my man Nicolas Pepe going from Lille to really anywhere in the Premier League. I'll say Chelsea so that Eden Hazard can permanently move up front.
Craig Burley.
Messi to Stoke City.